The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
You're listening to the Sports Scramble podcast, where four friends serve up a weekly plate of sports with a side of SEC bias. Now, here are your hosts, Chet, Jacob, Wade, and Tyler.
Let's go!
Welcome in, everybody, to another wonderful week of the Sports Scramble podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Sports, and we have all four of us for the first time in, 4 months? I think since,
That's
February?
a 4 for 4.
No, not
So
4
Wendy's-
months.
Maybe 4 weeks.
Well, yeah, there we go. That's more accurate. I like that.
He made a week 1 football pick. I know he did.
He did.
I heard this man predict Penn State to make the college football playoff, and then he ran away because he was scared of his pick.
Okay, Wade going all aggressive already.
Oh
No,
my
but
gosh.
Penn State is backing the talk, so he's back. And welcome back, Jacob.
Good to see you
Good
guys.
to have you. It's good to
Yep.
have you. Yeah, he wasn't sure about that Penn State pick. Tyler and I, and the three of us, should have just not been on the show because that LSU pick ain't looking right. We'll get to that. in a
Hey, I
minute,
did not
but
pick LSU.
I did, as I do every year. How are y'all? How was y'all's weekend? Tyler, Wade, Fudge?
As you can see by the title, that's my weekend. A rough weekend for Louisiana football.
Yeah, no, that one was pretty bad. What about you, Freddie? You had a trip up to Oxford.
Yeah, I got to take in the LSU and Ole Miss game. It was a hard-fought battle. I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit in depth here in a bit, but it was a fun atmosphere. I really do like seeing different college campuses around the South. I think I was telling some friends that this is what I really like about college football. Going and seeing the traditions of another team, and I hope that we don't lose that feel whenever the conferences expand. I think the SEC is doing it right. I think we'll still have that atmosphere and the charm, the band playing, teams coming down the hill. I like all that. So I'm hoping that we still have the pageantry behind it. I think it's going to be lost in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 or the Pac-2. But I think the SEC's got it right. It was a fun day of football regardless of the outcome. But yeah, rough weekend for LSU, rough weekend for the Saints, rough weekend for the Bengals. Not a lot of positives.
What was the post-game vibes up there in Oxford? Were you able to get out of that stadium alive as they were all rushing the field after beating a 3-1 number 13 ranked team, LSU?
It was probably
Was it
better
big
that
on those
LSU
Monday?
lost for our sake because everybody was in a good mood. Had Chris Hilton caught that high point touchdown to end the game, I think we would have gotten stuff thrown at us like they were throwing on the field. So I'll take it. Honestly, I wasn't too upset myself about the outcome in the stadium. I mean, it was anybody's football game. It was a lot of back and forth action. Of course, I wanted LSU to win, but it was still a good trip up there. And honestly, Ole Miss outplayed LSU for about 45 minutes of that game. There was a brief period in the third quarter where LSU kind of looked like they were going to take the game and run with it, but I think that the offense got a little passive, and then the defense began to let up again. And before you knew it, Ole Miss was back in the lead like they were most of the first half.
Yeah, I wouldn't say began to let up again. They let up the whole entire game. But
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they made a stop and then they didn't make another stop the rest of the game.
yeah, well, if you want to hear the full reaction video, you got to subscribe to our YouTube channel because Tyler and I got into it today. That video will be up probably tomorrow or Wednesday. Over on the Sports Scramble YouTube as we rant and rave about who needs to be fired and go scorched earth. But before we get into our full sports talk, Jacob, we got to know what you've been up to, where you've been leaving us, man. We've missed you on the podcast.
You got another podcast in your life?
Are you
No.
cheating on us, Jacob?
No, only with me and Tyler's
That's what-
podcast. But but
College
yeah,
football coast to coast. Catch it on the YouTube.
I've just been really busy. I've had a lot of golf in my life recently. Getting the golf
Nothing
game
wrong with
dialed
that.
in. Yeah.
I like it.
Coaching up the kids and everything. So they definitely are playing better golf. We're getting ready for our South State tournament in a couple weeks, and state coming up at the end of the month. So this is a big, busy month. It's been a lot today. Had a tournament today during the day out at Wind Dance, and beautiful course. Greens are running like tabletops, and I got a lot
all
of
you
strange
want.
looks today. Yeah, I think the toughest part of my day today, outside of like just it being a really long day, was watching one of my kids 5 putt from 10 feet.
Ooh. Ooh.
So
Happens.
so it's just like it's just one of those things where I was like, I gotta leave. I just gotta go to a different hole because I'm
Is
gonna
there
catch some
anything
kind of bad juju.
is there anything worse on a golf course? 5 putting? I mean, 3 putting is difficult, but 5
I feel
putting,
like
man,
5 out of bounds off the driver would be worse.
that's a good
Like,
one. That's a good one.
but by the time you get to 5 weight, like you might as well just like
Just take
that
the
means like
back
you're out
score.
of play 5 separate times. Like this
Yeah.
ball's in play. I mean, it's not like, but
Yeah.
I
At
mean,
least he
by the
got it
time
to
you're
the
teeing
green.
it back up, it's like you're on your 11th shot.
Yeah, that's
Well,
both are humiliating.
could you imagine putting for birdie and you end up getting a
a triple.
triple? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty
tough.
defeating because you did all the work to get to the green and then
Uh-huh.
you couldn't finish the hole.
A
Was it?
515-yard par 5.
Oh, so he might have been putting for eagle.
Yeah, he could
Well,
have. He could
oh,
have.
that's rough.
So he's
That's
good
rough.
at golf. He got it there in 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Just gotta work on that putt. But you got to coach him up, man. You got to get him ready on that.
You know,
putt.
it's one of those things where it's like it's well, even for people like us, like you get older and it's just like it's all patience. Putting is patience, and short game is patience. And these kids have zero patience, and it's like one of those head case things. And it's like I
Mhm.
go home from tournaments and I'm mentally exhausted, and I don't even swing a club. I'm like I'm mentally exhausted just from like thinking. So my number one boy today ended up winning the tournament in the playoff today.
No shocker there.
So
Is
it's
it a good old Will? He's like the number 1 golfer in the
yeah,
state. Yeah,
yeah,
no
yeah.
shocker
Oh,
there.
so here's why everything goes full circle today. So, we're playing in this tournament. He wins the tournament and we leave. So I get a call tonight, probably like 2 hours ago, and it's Will. And I'm going, okay. He's probably just asking me about something for tomorrow. Tomorrow's big match play against Ocean Springs, match play
Oh,
tournament at Shell Landing, Ryder Cup
okay.
style. So,
We'll
yeah.
get into that in a second.
But yeah, so he calls me at 6 o'clock and says, something happened. And I'm like, okay,
Uh-oh.
what happened? And he says, yeah, he's like, my ankle is black. And I said, what? And he's like, yeah, we were out playing and somebody swung in their backswing on a practice swing and just absolutely clobbered me in the
Oh my
ankle.
gosh.
Mm.
That
So
sucks. All right, well,
yeah.
that top 5 putting on the golf course is
Yeah,
breaking
probably
your ankle because somebody in a backswing.
Yeah,
Ooh,
so
that one's rough.
we got to think how we're
Well,
going to deal with that. So
dude, you just gotta send them out there, tape it up, ankle brace, rock and roll.
take one for the team.
Yep. You mentioned the Ryder Cup. Not a lot of people in the United States watched it.
I like
Considering it's
sleeping,
at
Chet.
yeah,
I mean,
it
it came on
started at
so early.
1:30 in the morning, and the U.S. was getting absolute boat raced until Sunday. Well, to end it Saturday, they had the hat gate where Patrick Cantlay didn't wear a hat, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's because he's not getting paid, so he doesn't want to wear a hat." Blah blah blah. He says it's because the hat didn't fit him, which I don't know if I believe that or not. But after every shot or before every shot, the European crowd would take their hat off and wave it around right before he hit. My dad called me and he was like, "What is this? These people that are playing golf right now are like screaming. The fans are screaming at him. You're not supposed to do that on the golf course." It's like, "Dad, it's the Ryder Cup. Anything goes." I mean, they got people jumping in the pond in between holes. Uh, Makes it. The U.S. team gives it back to him. He makes the big putt to win the match, and they're like, "Oh, Hatgate, this, shove it up your ass." Joe LaCava and Rory are fighting on the green. It was a whole scene. And then Sunday, the U.S. has to win what, like 9 points, 10 points to win it. They don't end up getting it done, but we got to talk about Max Homa and the balls of steel that this man has. We have bet on him so many times, and every time we bet on him, the man can't make a putt. But no, he makes a like 12-foot putt after hitting an insane flop shot onto the green to win a point for the U.S. Crowd goes crazy. They end up not getting it done. Basically the putt that won the Ryder Cup was Ricky Fowler is in a match to the death against Tommy Fleetwood. It's a drivable par 4. This might also top 3 putting. he slices his drive into the water to basically eliminate him from the hole. And Tommy Fleetwood, in a must-win, if he wins this hole, the Europeans win the Ryder Cup. He drives the green. And so at that point, you're like, this is done unless Ricky holds out his approach shot, which he does not. Tommy Fleetwood puts it to about 4 feet. And Ricky goes, nah, that's good, man. And they win the Ryder Cup.
Wow.
I wanted to ask, would y'all have made him putt it? I would.
Yeah, after Jacob's story, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean,
yeah. I mean, well, you saw what happened with I think it was McIntyre. They had
he was missing putts all over the place.
His match down the stretch with Wyndham Clark, and he lipped out from 2 feet. That was literally a turning point. That was a big turning point. Like anything like can happen. Max Homa with the unplayable on 18, like that's crazy. Like not even credit doesn't go to Max Homa, his caddy. Like he gets credit for that because he's the one, I guess, according to Max, that he made the call and was like, dude, just take an unplayable and get up and down. And that was crazy.
Yeah, no, this Max's ball was buried so deep. They were saying if he would have actually taken the swing, the club wouldn't have gone through the grass. Like it would have just got caught and he would have never hit the ball. So taking the unplayable, then having the balls of stone that he did to make the up and down in a huge moment. But I'm wondering if Ricky probably didn't know that this was the hole to decide the Ryder Cup, that it was all on his shoulders because they're all playing at the same time, right? So he probably didn't realize it, and he was putting for par at best, and Tommy Fleetwood has to 2-putt from 4 feet to tie the hole. So maybe that's what went into it. But in the next whack, Tyler and Jacob, if y'all have a 4-foot putt to win it all, I'm making you putt it, even if we're on our 8th stroke. I don't care.
There are no gimmies in the
You're
whack.
making that putt. You're making that putt all day.
The skill level in the whack does not necessitate a gimme.
Especially now, I haven't touched the golf course since the whack.
I played some golf this weekend.
All right, let's hurry up and schedule the whack this weekend.
Yes, y'all meet me here in Central Texas. We're playing the whack on my home course.
Right.
No, I played golf this weekend, and the putting's rough, man. I wouldn't give me any putts right now. Everything else is decent, but the putting is. I did 5-putt, but I did 3-putt a few times. But new look, just like Jimmy Butler. I don't know. NBA Media Days kicked off today. What'd you call him, Jacob, before the show? What was
Jemiah Butler.
Jemiah Butler with the straightened hair. That was interesting, and all the piercings. Do you think it's just a look for Media Day? Because remember last year he showed up with like the dreadlocks to his butt, like he had them like full on, and they were gone.
Those were sick.
It's a trend. It's a trolling effort at this point.
Yeah. No,
he said it's like his Halloween, so I think that he'll be doing this the remainder of his career. And it's funny because like ESPN puts so much time into these graphics and stuff, and like he looks nothing like he's gonna look like the remainder of the season. I don't know. I find it funny because so often we talk about athletes, being too serious or not having a personality. And here's this guy, he's making like $200 million over the lifetime of his contract, and he's just having a little fun with it. I see nothing wrong with it. I liked it last year. I like it this year. Can't wait for next year. I don't know. Rainbow hair, maybe? Who knows?
I just want to know if the piercings are real. Like, did he actually go get his eyebrows pierced and his lips pierced to do this?
He said he wanted to look like an emo front, like lead singer to an emo rock band. Was his inspiration behind the outfit. So
he accomplished that perfectly. Yeah, he nailed it. And then Tyler, why don't you tell everybody what Zion said in his press conference?
He said that he's unguardable. So the only thing that he needs to be unguardable is stay healthy, because for most of the season, I feel like he's been healthy. But pretty much the same expectations for the Pelicans. It's all about just staying healthy. Pretty much the same big three. You got CJ coming back, BI. You'll have Jose missing some time in training camp, along with Trey Murphy. He's had off-season surgery, so we'll see. It's the same team as last year, so we'll see. The Pels was able to get off to a hot start, and then it fell apart whenever Zion got hurt. So we'll see if it happens again.
Yeah, I mean, you can be unguardable if you never play. Nobody
That's
can guard you.
He's not telling a lie.
Except for the bench monster. So, of course, Damian Lillard's in Portland now. or not Portland, left Portland and is now in Milwaukee. So that'll be interesting to see how that
Mhm.
plays out. Early championship pick there, Fletch. You think Milwaukee gets it done this year with Damian?
I don't know. It's one of those things where, we talked about it kind of when this just has the feeling of like when KD and Harden and Kyrie all went
All
to
of them got together?
Brooklyn and
Yeah.
like they went back to Brooklyn and was like, oh, we're going to dominate, and they couldn't share the ball to save their lives. Like, let's be real. Is this going to be was last year the last year we're going to see Giannis bring the ball up the court? Like,
No.
Probably.
it's just one of those
I
things
think
where it's like Damian Lillard, he's not going to play as an off guard. He's just there's no way that's going to happen. You still have Chris Middleton, and I'm surprised that they still have Chris Middleton with that trade. What they gave away and what they've received, I don't understand the whole thing. I read it and then I read it again, and then I had to read it one more time, and I still couldn't figure out like why this happened. No, I think there were other places for Damian Lillard. I don't know if Milwaukee is exactly the right fit, but he is a small market guy. Like it's just you're never gonna find Damian Lillard in a big market, and I think that as far as that team goes, it's going to be interesting to see. Like Lillard is not a defensive player. They gave away a defensive asset. Grayson Allen's gone. So you've got some people that have left that were good defensively that you needed. I mean, you have no perimeter defense now because Lillard's not going to guard anybody. It's like James Harden guarding somebody, and he
Yep.
couldn't guard a loaf of bread if it didn't move for 3 hours. So I'm not sure, like, why I don't get it. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I'll start watching basketball when we get to the playoffs, really, probably. I was really into it when we lived in Louisiana and we go to the Pelicans games, but it's football season, so
They
let's
upped
get
my
to what-
yearly freaking NBA, upped my yearly annual fee.
Well, we
to
brought
watch
you back
games
for it.
now. Freaking BS that they said, you know what? Oh, okay, I got this freaking bill from Secaucus, and I'm like, what the? Is this
From
charge
what?
from Secaucus? That's where their NBA
That's
headquarters
Secaucus.
is. Huh?
What? What is
Yeah.
Secaucus? Is like that's a
In
town?
New York. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
geography is not my strong suit. I
My
think we
my
discussed this on
my
the show.
yearly annual thing. I could watch. Of course, I'm a Grizzlies fan, and I watched the Grizzlies games, and it was $59.99 for the year, and I could watch any game I wanted throughout the year. And
It's not bad.
now, yeah, it was a pretty good deal because
Like
you're going to pay
any-
$60 for a ticket.
Any NBA game
The whole season. No, just their
or just
games,
Grizzlies?
just
Okay.
their games, but for the entire season, which is a pretty good deal.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So, and now it's $99.99 for the year.
Oh my god!
And you're not
Wait a
even seeing
second.
John Morant.
Yeah, great. So
They should have given it to
Might
you
as well
half
just
price.
give you a
They should
discount.
give you a discount.
If you're watching right now, like the show, subscribe, send it to everybody. We gotta get monetized because Fletcher's got to be able to pay for this.
yeah, I got to pay
this-
for my NBA League Pass, guys. Yeah,
$40 more a
It's a
year.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's rough. That's rough. But you know what is a problem? Well, I guess kind of a problem, unless you're a Swiftie, like Wade's wife. Taylor Swift and the Chiefs. How many times was she shown on TV last night, Wade? What you
I don't
guess?
know. I have to bring in my expert opinion, but I would guess at least like 7.
All right, Tyler, what do you think? Well, you know the answer
17.
actually.
I
Oh,
know
well, you
that.
got it. Fletch, what do you think?
Why do you ask
You
me?
asked-
Because we had the counter going
no.
all night.
Was it
You
actually
shouldn't ask
17?
It was 17. They showed her
Oh my
17
God.
times.
Are we
I'm surprised it
including the
wasn't,
commercial that
13.
happened
Is
right
that funny?
after Pacheco scored the touchdown?
Yes. There was, I think she had 4 total commercials shown during the game.
Yep.
I mean, they cut off Pacheco's celebration to show her celebrating. I mean, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, right? It's kind of crazy. My wife came in and was like, "Hey, you know this Travis Kelce guy? Taylor Swift put him on the map." I was like, "I know you're doing a TikTok trend, and you're not going to catch me." I was happy.
You're a fan of
Wade,
each,
that-
Chet. You got
I
him on
am.
your team, and you've always liked Taylor Swift.
Exactly. Shout out Lyndon. Isabel tried that with him. If you saw it on TikTok, Lyndon, not the biggest NFL guy, but he knew who Travis Kelce was. So I'm proud of you, Lyndon. If you
He's
was
growing.
Hey, we taught him something.
Yes.
And then we had welcome to New York, 17 times for Taylor Swift. It was actually a close one with the Chiefs and the Jets, 23-20. Zach Wilson saw Travis's mom in the box and was like,
Oh
"I'm
my
going to start playing like Joe Namath."
another thing.
I mean, Tyler,
No.
has he beaten his woes, or was it just a one-time thing?
I have one thing to say. That dude on NBC, Rodney Harrison, is a piece of shit for saying what he
Hey.
said
That
to
was
Zach
yeah.
Wilson.
No, that was out of
Because,
pocket.
dude, like you are just trying to say that Chris Jones, like he's just saying, like,
Trying
oh
to
yeah,
bait him.
he's getting better, and this freaking asshole is saying, oh, he's a garbage, he's whatever. Like, golly, like you have to be more professional on TV. And tip my cap to Chris Jones. I know we're
Yes.
not NSFW, but screw it. This has just been. I just
all right.
had to come out and say that
Listen.
because what a piece of crap you are.
No, I like it. Keep the fire going, Tyler. We'll just mark this one as explicit.
That
Hey,
pissed
once
me
it's
the
already
hell off.
marked, you can say as many as you want. It's
Yeah.
unlimited.
Yeah,
It's not made for them
it
damn
pissed me
kids,
off.
all right?
It just pissed me off. Just like to be a journalist like that and say that in front of Chris Jones and Zach Wilson. Like, come
It was-
on. Like,
yeah,
Zach
it was pretty
Wilson
uncalled
is just
for.
trying his best. The Jets are in a tough situation. You know, Aaron Rodgers, he's out for the year.
Yep.
He's trying to come back. We'll see. But, I mean, he's not that bad of a quarterback to say that on live television in front of Chris Jones.
No, I agree with you. He was trying to bait Jones into saying something.
It didn't
You could
work.
tell. And no, yeah, hats off to Chris Jones for keeping his professionalism. I felt for Zach. I mean, you saw the scene afterwards when he was like, "This is all my fault." Like you could kind of read his lips. So I mean, that's tough. That's tough to see. I think I didn't really watch the game, but I think he fumbled like one of the final snaps to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
I need
There
to
was-
know. Wait, go ahead, Fudge.
I just don't. There was still a chance for them to win the game. Like it's just one of those things where it's like it wasn't like the Chiefs had it in the bag at a certain point, you know. And I think the Jets' defense in the fourth quarter looked really good, and even in the end of the third.
Well, we know they have one of the top defenses. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of how long can you keep it up when your offense
Well,
just
that's why.
cannot do
But that's what
anything.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Their defense had multiple opportunities. Like C.J. Mosley had an interception that literally hit him straight in the hands.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't catch it. I mean, there were a lot of opportunities that just went by the wayside on defense because they couldn't, for whatever reason, hold on to just catch the football. And it was just
Yeah.
one of those where I looked at it and was like, look, the defense is just as much at fault as the offense is.
Well, I don't know if you saw the meme from when Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes were talking, and it was like, "What are they saying?" And someone said, "Why does your husband keep throwing the ball to the other team and not to Travis?" That one was pretty funny. But Wade, I want to know, since you are the resident Swiftie or married to the resident Swiftie,
There you go.
what do you think they were saying in that interchange?
I think Brittany Mahomes was just trying to kiss ass, you know, because she knows that her spotlight is dwindling, and we haven't seen Jackson Mahomes in like 2 years. Probably
'Cause he's
rightfully
in jail.
so. Well, he's not in jail. He's just not allowed to come on the media.
I think he's in jail.
Oh, okay. Well, but yeah, this is probably her just trying to
anything.
fangirl and keep the spotlight on herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had I don't know who it was sitting next to Taylor Swift, but she was drinking a High Noon, and Dave Portnoy, who's High Noon's a big sponsor of theirs, was just like tweeting nonstop, "Pass the High Noon to the left," just so Taylor can hold it for one shot and give us all these sales. So, but I mean, I sent y'all a TikTok of them kind of freaking out about Taylor Swift and what's going on, because the NFL seems to be really riding this Taylor Swift stuff, right? All of their bios are like Swifties 2-0, everything, and then you could tell that the calls were blatantly like holding was missed. They called defensive holding when it wasn't holding. Is there some conspiracy going on, Tyler, that the NFL is going to have the Chiefs win the Super Bowl or to the Super Bowl, just for this image with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce?
Wouldn't doubt it, because the NFL is literally leaderless with Roger Goodell. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing nowadays. So, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. There's conspiracy theories. I don't believe it, though, you know. But I just, like, let her live her life. Like, there's, like, so many cameras around. She already has so much publicity at this rate. But I don't know. I really don't care.
They're going to get to the Super Bowl. Taylor Swift is going to drop kick Usher at halftime, and take over the mic and start
That's the
singing.
storyline we're looking for.
Do a
That's what I
duet
wanna
with Travis
see.
Kelce mid-game. Everybody got mad at Evan McPherson for being out there during the halftime show. Travis Kelce's already skipping team flights and staying the night before games
I wanted to
away
talk
from the
about
team.
that.
There's no rules. He'll be all right. But also, I'll give the resident Swiftie some credit. She sent me a breakdown video of the penalties on the no calls, or I guess the bad calls against the Jets. And she said, you know what? This is just a bad look for the NFL. I want to see Taylor Swift out there, but it's clear that they're, really trying to just run this narrative, right? And that maybe the Chiefs should have lost that game.
Oh, so we have a Swiftie coming in saying
That's
that,
rare.
Okay, so she's buying into the conspiracy. I
Well,
like it.
she's a fantasy football player first, and she has Garrett Wilson on her team. So she's,
that is true.
respecting
Well,
her
obviously
team.
she's not a listener of the show because I had Garrett Wilson as my sits last week.
Well, Garrett Wilson put up 14 points.
Well, you know what? We don't have many hits on this show.
You're right on Joe Mixon, though. For
Yeah,
sure.
I was.
And Joe Burrow should just be a permanent sit.
Yeah,
permanent sit.
that's true.
I got one thing to say, Travis Kelce. I didn't draft you in the first round for you to spend the night at Taylor Swift's apartment and put up 12 fantasy points.
We
man.
need more discipline.
Get your head in the game and catch some touchdowns. All right. We're done talking about Taylor Swift. Unless it comes up later. Welcome to New York. Buffalo went down to Miami, absolutely thumped them 48-20. Josh Allen, 320 yards, 5 total touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 3 touchdowns. Jacob, is Josh Allen in full MVP form?
Well, first let me correct you, because the little Dolphins went up to Buffalo and got their shit kicked because
There you go.
This is the aggressive episode.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, the thing is that I am so glad, first of all, let's talk fantasy. I am so glad that I got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs because
We
my
did-
God,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
going
We want it to
to
happen
carry
again?
me-
Are you kidding me?
We let
They're
it.
gonna
You
carry
didn't know
me
this,
to
Wade.
the
He had
natty.
him. He had
They're
him.
gonna carry me to the natty. Oh, Wade's gonna find out when I
Yeah,
beat him up in a couple
destroying
weeks.
people.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
100. He had like 190 points this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just think that Buffalo's all around, I think, the better football team. Defensively,
Mhm.
Buffalo is the better football team. Everybody's talking about Miami's defense. Miami really hasn't had a test this year, and that was their first big test, and they failed miserably. I mean, that's just number one. I think it's a coaching mistake. I've said from day one that I think McDaniel's too young to be coaching, to be a head coach right now in the NFL.
It's a little loose.
It's just kind of all
That's
over
an
the place.
interesting take.
I don't know. It just looks like a little kid's birthday party, like at practice.
It's the meme that his dad left for work for the day and now he's running it. He's running
But
the
Tyreek
team.
Hill is so disciplined and mature. What could go wrong?
like, oh my God, what could go wrong? Like,
Just give him a hit of his vape and just let him roll.
I'm so confused with Miami. Like, Miami football embraces Miami, where just nobody cares, and it's just like it's just a free for all. No, I think Buffalo's a disciplined football team. I think Buffalo will be in the AFC Championship game this year. I'm happy with how they're running the football. I think right now run pass balance is really good. Defensively, I don't think there's a better team in the league defensively except for the Cowboys right now than
Dallas
the
is number
Bills.
one. Not even close.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well, you also have Dallas on your fantasy team too, so that doesn't help.
I do.
You had
do.
like 100 points scored between Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the
I
Dallas
think it's
Cowboys.
safe to say
defense.
we are.
You're right.
screwed.
You're
We
right.
are totally screwed.
Actually, I played Jacob week 1, didn't I?
Yeah,
and
you
you
did.
got your shit kicked. I think. Did you?
No, I think I won.
I don't
Oh,
think so.
well,
I lost to Chris. That's my
Oh,
bad.
that's
that's
right.
Yeah, that's right. Because
Oh,
Chris
yeah, you
scored
were undefeated till you
13.
played
Yeah,
Because
that
he
was
put up
Chris's,
218 points.
Yeah.
There is no chance that somebody on fantasy is going to put up 218 points for the. I put up 180 and still lost.
Yeah,
Like,
that was unfortunate.
that was
Yeah, no,
crazy.
We've had our bad losses.
Yeah,
For
Fletch
sure.
is the team to watch out for. Bad beat for me. I dropped the Bills defense because I was like, oh, they're playing the mighty Dolphins, and I picked up the Chiefs. So they scored me a 0. And I think the Bills defense had like 12.
The Dolphins, everybody keeps talking about the Dolphins are going to be a freaking 12, 13 win team. They are not. I think they are a 9-win team at best.
Probably so.
I can
Just
see
going to
it.
be
Well,
honest.
I mean, everybody's
They
going
gotta-
to beat the Patriots.
I mean,
That's
the
just-
Jets, the fact that the Jets aren't out of it in the division, Like the
Yeah.
Jets could still win a wild card spot.
The defense will keep them around, you know?
No, and they ended up, pulling that win off against the Bills in week 1, so I think that goes a long way. In a different division, still the AFC though, we have the Houston Texans. They have 1 loss. My boys down in Houston, CJ Stroud is just making it happen down there. They take down Pittsburgh 30-6. They beat Tennessee last week like 37-14. He's spreading the ball out. It's a just draft the Texans wide receiver because he's getting you points guaranteed. I've got one on my bench who scored 40, or my wife's bench who scored 40. Like that. I mean, come on. I can't win there.
And he's named after your dog.
Exactly. I should have started him instead of Keenan Allen. But I'm saying CJ Stroud early offensive rookie of the year award. I mean, Tyler, what do you think? What do you think from the Ohio State quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think that he's putting up some numbers in a division that's really wide open. You know, the Jags were able to get a victory over the Falcons in London. The Titans absolutely dismantled the Bengals are just looking like a dumpster fire. So if Houston, can keep on winning, I think that their schedule is setting up nicely. They play Atlanta, and then in the next coming weeks, they play the Saints, who can't score the ball to save their gosh dang lives. So, I think that Houston's definitely a dark horse. I kind of had a feeling that this team, a lot of people were going to doubt them, but they have some young talent. There are 2 wide receivers just stepping up, Tank Dell and Nico Collins, and then you have a lot of young talent. Derek Stingley is one of your top cornerbacks, Will Anderson in the middle. So, I think that this is going to be a team that's going to be competing. I think that they could be right in there in the wild card race.
Yeah, they have a lot of young stars, so let's see them make a push this year, and then it's just going to get better. You mentioned the Saints, Tyler. Recap it for us. They just flat out suck on offense.
Yeah, they did. I'm ready for Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael to get the heck out of here. I mean, just look at this offense. It's just very bad. It hasn't been good since the Drew Brees era. I mean, Chris Olave had probably one of his worst games. I don't think it wasn't his fault. The play calling, it's like 1960-ish. So you just cannot do anything. You have Alvin Kamara coming back. He had 13 receptions for 33 yards and 50 yards on the ground. I think that the defense is fine. I think, on one side of the ball, you're good, and on the other side, you're just relying on field goals. It's like 9 points ain't going to win you games, and Derek Carr isn't the quarterback that you think he is. He's a very average quarterback. I bought into the hype of this team. I'll go ahead and say it. I thought 11 wins just because of the schedule. They'll be lucky to get 7, honestly, at this rate. I think that the way that they're playing, they blew a 17-0 lead. It was just an inexcusable loss, and you come back home and give up 26 points to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. That is downright embarrassing.
With no Mike Evans.
And no Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, he had himself a game. But if you think that Dennis Allen is a great head coach, you can go away from me. I just don't think that he is. I think that they just need to just go away from the Sean Payton era. Just go bye-bye, say everybody. They just got to flush everything before it gets too bad. Or if they just keep with Dennis Allen or Pete Carmichael, this is probably going to be a last-place team along with the Carolina Panthers because this offense sucks. It can't keep up with anybody in this league. So the changes have to come soon, or this team is going to be in the dumps for a very, very long time.
Calling out the Carolina Panthers, I don't think Chris would have appreciated that last week. Wade, I got to ask you. Are you going with Jameis Winston or Derek Carr moving forward, especially with this AC joint?
It don't matter as long as
if it's truly an injury that's limiting him. I think you got to do the right thing for the team and play Jameis Winston. I mean, I know he's not the greatest, but he is one of the better backups, and the degrees of separation in the NFL between average quarterbacks is very slim. So if Derek Carr's hurt, I mean, that just puts him really behind the 8 ball, and you got to go with Winston. But I think it's more of a scheme thing. I think that Carr could be the guy still. I just think that they've tried to hold on to the last little bit of the Drew Brees era and Sean Payton era. And look, it's not even working for Payton currently in present day. I mean, the offense.
He's going to cut his sleeves off.
Yeah, it's just not there anymore.
His seat's so hot in Denver. His seat is so hot in Denver that he's cutting the sleeves off on the sideline. So, I mean, the quarterback, we thought the quarterback situation in New Orleans was fixed, but I mean, week 1 he was like, "Eh," and then week 2 they looked good against the Packers. I mean, they were okay, but then he gets hurt, and so now it's like, you don't want to throw some. I mean, you could tell he was throwing dead ducks out there. Like I saw one to Chris Olave, one of his like 4 targets. I mean, it was 5 yards short. Like it was nowhere near even get to him. So I think you're right, Wade. You got to bench him until he's fully healthy. But Jacob, there's been some talks. Teams trying to trade for Kirk Cousins, probably not during the season, but towards the end of the season. I say Saints, put him on your number, but somebody said Atlanta Falcons. What do you think about that?
I don't think Atlanta. I think Kirk's right fit in Atlanta. Atlanta's good with a young quarterback. They had Matt Ryan. No. I don't know.
I think you go Tyler.
They're beating the Saints' ass right now, so I don't know. So I think they're better off with a young quarterback. I just think that their offense is built for a young quarterback. The Saints' offense is still built for a veteran quarterback, and they don't have it. Jameis Winston is Mr. Where can I throw it? So I hate their. I absolutely hate the Saints' offense. I cannot stand it.
I can't either.
It's like, you know what? Just maybe hold on. Like, throw the ball for a little while, and maybe Drew Brees will come out of the tunnel with his number 9 jersey on and save the day, and come back from retirement.
Call him up, and he needs to be calling the plays because Carmichael's offense is built like a Stone Age.
Derek Carr would throw for 5,000 yards in Minnesota this year, and Kirk Cousins would throw for 3,000 in New Orleans. It's really not that big of a difference in talent. It's scheme. Nobody hires defensive head coaches. I don't know why the Saints thought it would be a good idea to hire one that failed in Oakland.
Well, is there one floating around? Is there a guy floating around that you think will take over next season?
Eric Bieniemy, finally, maybe. I don't know. Sam Howell looks a lot better than anybody we've just mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. Some of the young rookies, I rather see at quarterback than that. I mean, that's a mess.
What about
Saints' offense
that
is a
third
mess.
string guy that was shooting up PEDs that's suspended for a couple more weeks? What's his name?
He's
Jake
Hayner.
Luton? Jake.
That's Hayner, yeah.
Hayner?
Yeah. I mean, maybe throw him out if Jameis Winston is sucking it up.
It doesn't. It's just all about teams. I mean, all these guys would be decent. They're not going to be league-winning quarterbacks, but they're not quarterbacks that lose you games. Desmond Ridder is kind of a quarterback that loses you games, but again, that's a scheme thing. I don't think that you could put Kirk in that offense, and they're not going to open it up, right? I mean, they just run the ball too much. That's another poor scheme. I think the Bucs are actually taking the best approach at scheme in the division, and that's why they're 3-1.
But if you're going to be a running team, build your team as a running team. Like I just don't go out there and think that Michael Thomas and Chris Olave are the answer.
Oh, the Saints aren't supposed to be a running team. They just don't know how to. I don't know what the play calls are for the routes. It's supposed to be an air. Yeah. It's not a good situation.
Louisiana
can't do it.
Louisiana is in a bad state of football right now. I mean, well, I say Louisiana. I'm just saying New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Tulane's looking decent. But as one thing we've learned is these coaches will not change their scheme when they come to Louisiana, as you can see, and we'll get to in our college football talk. But Tyler, the floor is now yours for your fantasy football corner. How'd it go last week? I know you said sit Garrett Wilson. He was medium. But what do we got? What do we got this week for the?
We got a full list cast of characters here as we head into week number 5. Defeated, you have 1 loss, 2 losses. You're looking for your first win in fantasy. I am hopefully here to help you. So this is the quarterback start of the week. Let's get it going here. Jalen Hurts, he's back on it. Coming off of a fantastic performance against the Washington Commanders, I think that the Eagles offense is starting to improve week in and week out. A.J. Brown, that connection starting to become strong. And talk about DeAndre Swift being a factor in this Philadelphia offense. He's starting to do really good things. And going up to the matchup on the road against the Los Angeles Rams, and I can't really figure out this Rams defense. In week 1 against Seattle, they looked pretty good. And then last week they had, a 27-0 lead against Indianapolis Colts. Ended up blowing that. They ended up getting that all thanks to Puka. but I just can't really figure out this defense. So I think that this Philadelphia Eagles offense coming off of an impressive performance against a very talented Washington Commanders defense. Jalen Hurts, they're going to do their little play where Jalen Hurts gets down there to the 1 yard line. They're going to do the Philly push, and he's going to score probably 2 touchdowns, and Philadelphia is probably going to win in a shootout. So I think the way that this Philadelphia offense has been cooking lately, it's hard not to sit Jalen Hurts. So I think that he's a full-on go for this Philadelphia team that's looking to stay undefeated. All right, let's go on now to the running back start of the week. It's a rookie, and it is Bijan Robinson. I have been high on this man since day one in the offseason. As soon as the Atlanta Falcons took him at pick number 8, I knew that he was going to be special. And he had an okay game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars defense really just stymied this Falcons offense. It's definitely interesting for this Falcons offense. Desmond Ridder has been struggling. Bijan Robinson, he had a slow start to the season. In week number 1, Tyler Algier had most of the carries, but now that is starting to shift. Atlanta and Bijan had 14 carries, 105 yards. That was good for 19 fantasy points if you are playing in PPR. And looking at the Falcons this week, they host the Houston Texans. And the Houston Texans defense is one of those defenses that we always like to pick up. But I think that the Texans defense is definitely getting better. But where they are lacking is their rush defense. I do think that Bijan Robinson, if you're looking especially at PPR, he's going to give you points in that rushing department and also in the receiving game too. So I think the way that Bijan's been playing, he's been one of the most consistent fantasy running backs. And running backs have been a problem for a lot of people in fantasy, whether you lost Nick Chubb or Austin Eckler. He hasn't been playing. So if you have a little hole, I think that Bijan Robinson is your start this week in the running back department. Let's go on now to the wide receiver star of the week. We talked about Buffalo, and we are going to continue to start the man, Stephon Diggs, coming off of a really good performance, 120 yards and 3 touchdowns against Miami defense. That has really been disappointing with how much talent that defense has. Stephon Diggs in this offense just continues to be good. This is across the pond once again, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars in Tottenham Stadium. So definitely going to be an offensive slugfest. But I think the way you're coming off a performance, you're feeling really good about the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, but it was Atlanta offense that hasn't really been too good. So I think that you just got to roll the momentum. I think that Josh Allen is playing like MVP. Stephon Diggs is looking like one of the best fantasy wide receivers to get. Coming off of a 37 points, he's projected 17.7. Would not shock me if he gets over that. I think that he definitely finds the end zone. That Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen connection is really good, especially, even going up against a talented Jaguars secondary. You really have to trust Stephon Diggs this week heading into week number 5. All right, let's get into some of the negatives. Let's get into the sits of the week, starting with the quarterbacks of the week. I did have some bold ones. Lamar Jackson sitting did not work out for me, but we are going to go with another quarterback, go to the NFC East, Dak Prescott. This is going to be a game that I just don't think that there's going to be many points scored. It's Brock Purdy versus Dak Prescott. Probably wouldn't start either, but definitely wouldn't start Dak Prescott. I definitely think that this is a San Francisco 49ers defense that you don't want to mess with. Josh Dobbs, he had 2 touchdowns against this defense, but I just think that Dak Prescott going on the road to San Francisco, I think that this is going to be a tough environment for Dak in this offense to really generate a lot of offense. So coming off of a so-so performance against the Patriots defense, they didn't really have to rely too heavily on Dak Prescott's arm. But I think that Dak Prescott is one of the quarterbacks you just want to stash on the bench and wait for a better matchup in the coming weeks. All right, let's go on now to the running back sit of the week. It is Ramondre Stevenson, and this is just an ugly matchup. I don't really want to touch anybody in this matchup. This is probably going to be one of the more lower scoring matchups. Right now, the under is set at 39. Wouldn't surprise me if we went under that. Both these offenses just absolute stink right now. Looking at the Saints offense, they can't really generate much. The Patriots with Mac Jones is pretty much the same. And looking at Ramondre Stevenson, this backfield is definitely a running back by committee. Ezekiel Elliott saw a lot of carries against Dallas. Ramondre had his fair share, but it wasn't really a good game. He had 14 carries, 30 yards. That's just not what we want to look for, especially if you have him as your RB1 or RB2. going up against the Saints rush defense that is one of the best in the league. Rashad White, he had a so-so game. I think that Ramondre Stevenson is probably going to have similar stats to you see there on the screen. So I'm sitting the Patriots, and honestly, Alvin Kamara too. I just don't feel safe playing Kamara either. So sit whoever running back is playing in this matchup, but I'll go with Stevenson. We're going to continue going after that matchup. We're going to sit Michael Thomas, and also you can add Rashid Shaheed to this list. I just have no faith in the New Orleans Saints offense right now. It's coming off of a performance, only scored 9 points. It gets tough. Patriots defense. I think that the Patriots defense is dealing with injury. Matthew Judon did get banged up. We'll see if he's able to play in this one. But without Judon, I think that this Patriots defense is going to be motivated. The Cowboys had their way. I think that, Michael Thomas coming off of a game where he only had 4 catches for 53 yards. Derek Carr, he has an injury. I think that the injury is definitely affecting him, but the Saints offense isn't clicking. So I just don't think that he can reach that projected total. If he does, I just don't think. If you have other options, I would just feel safer. I just don't want to touch anybody in this Saints versus Patriots matchup, as it's going to be an offensive snooze fest. So that is the wide receiver sit of the week, and also the starts and the sits heading into week number 5.
Well, Futch, I think you should be pretty happy with this these matchups for the Saints and what am I trying to say here? The Saints and the Patriots, because you're a fan of both of them. So it's a win-win for you, no matter who wins.
False. I'm not a Saints.
Are you going to be going to the game, Mr. Futch?
I'm not going to Foxborough, so
I thought it was in New Orleans.
No.
I read that wrong.
Foxborough. I'm not a Saints fan by any means. I tolerate the Saints, and I'll go to a Saints game, but like I just, the Saints don't wow me, and like for me,
the Patriots definitely don't wow me. I don't know what you're trying to say there.
I just like, okay, so the thing with the Patriots is they're a legacy football team, so it's not like it's different. So like people that are Patriots fans are lifelong Patriot fans. Yeah.
Because they've been good our entire lifetime.
I've been a lifelong Saints fan. They haven't always been good. I remember the brown bags.
I'm very sorry. That 2009 is the only year that really was enjoyable for the Saints. I don't know. I'm not a Saints fan. I just don't.
You're a hater. You're a hater because we beat Tom Brady.
I'm not a hater.
Yes,
because we beat Tom Brady. Right.
Let's get to our best bets for the weekend. We heard the fantasy sits and starts. Now let's get to our bets, sits, and starts.
It's time for Building Dat Bankroll.
Building Dat Bankroll, brought to you by our friends over at Wolf Spreads. This is the new app that Tyler and I tried out this week. We were approached by the guys that built Wolf Spreads. It's pretty neat, right? So you have $2,000 fake money. You're not actually having to deposit $2,000 real dollars. I actually would have been pretty happy with that because I did good this week. And what you do is you make a league, which Wade was out in Oxford, so he had no internet connection, and Fletch just doesn't respond to our text messages. So there's that. And you basically compete against each other. It's a betting, but you're betting for bragging rights. So you have your $2,000. You bet over, under, money line, everything like that. So we'll start with the NFL. I won $980 of the $2,000, so I feel like I did a pretty good job. Tyler won $139. So trust my bet this weekend and not Tyler's bet. If history says anything, but maybe he'll bounce back. We'll get all 4 of us on there, but you got to check it out. It's free on the App Store. It's called Wolf Spreads. Super easy to download, make an account. You don't have to put in your driver's license and verify your location because it's not actual sports gambling. It's just fun Monopoly money with friends.
Wagering.
It's fun wagering. And what you can do is the 4 of us can have a competition, right? And say whoever has the most money at the end of the week or at the end of the weekend, you win $20. We Venmo you a couple bucks. Like that's how you can put a little bit of spice into it, right? But you could take the whole house $2,000 and just say, I'll put $2,000 on the Packers to lose to the Lions if you were last weekend, and you would have won a ton of money. Or you can spread it up evenly. So check it out. It's free on the App Store. Wolf Spreads. We'll have it linked in our description. So we'll start with the NFL bets. Tyler, I'll let you kick it off. Who's your bet of the week for the NFL?
I'm going to go to the game that I was just talking about, the Patriots and the Saints, and I would gladly take not the Saints to cover, the Patriots to cover the 1.5. I just don't think that the Saints are going to score very many points, or neither is New England. This is probably going to be like a snoozer, like a 13-7 type of game. So I'll just go New England just because it's in Foxborough. Not really any confidence, so just go with the Patriots.
I think the under is probably a good play here also.
Probably,
I think
but
it was 39.
I just like picking the spreads.
Okay. Wade, let's get your pick for the week for the NFL.
All right. There's a lot of good action in the NFL this week, but I'm going to go with a team that we just highlighted, the Houston Texans. I'm going to pick them to win outright over Atlanta, and that was probably your pick too. I also like the over in this one. I think Houston can have the potential to boat race Atlanta. I'll give you a backup. I'll let Chet dive into that game more. I'm going to go, you know what? This is a little bold, but I have been convinced that this team is going to win the Super Bowl after this weekend. I don't know why. I listened to them on my drive home. I think the San Francisco 49ers make a statement at home against the Cowboys. I think they win by more than 3.5. And I think the over hits in that game. Over
3.5. So 3.5. So weird total. I'm surprised you're taking the over with how good each defense is.
But I think the offenses they could go back and forth. And I think San Fran's defense is not as good as it's been in years past, but I think the offense is as efficient as anybody's. And I think Dallas, I think their defense is winning them a lot of football games right now. I think it's a solid defense, but it's hard to keep Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Brock Purdy's been a good game manager. It's hard to keep those guys under 25 points, and I think both teams get to 21 in this game. So I think if the winner, were to get above 25, and all of a sudden you're at that over. So I think San Fran actually wins that game 27-23, which would put you at 50 and would cover by a point. So yeah.
There you go. You mentioned the Houston Texans. I wasn't taking money line. I was taking them to cover the 1.5 point spread. So basically taking a money line.
Just get the extra vig on the money line on a 1 point spread,
Exactly. Well, it was Houston plus 1.5, which was surprising to me, considering they've been playing pretty good and Atlanta has not been. I think it is in Atlanta. So a big road test for the young quarterbacks in CJ Stroud, but I feel confident in them. I'm going Houston plus 1.5 versus Atlanta. Futch, what do you got for your NFL bet this week? Looks like we lost Futch. He's frozen.
Giving us
he probably agrees with Tyler.
I think he agrees with Tyler. All right, well, let's go college football until we get Futch back on. Tyler, you kick it off for us.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Big 12. I'm not going to go the Red River Shootout. I'm going to stay away from that game. I think that game could go either way. I'm going to go with Kansas covering the 2 over UCF. Kansas, played Texas really well for 3 quarters in the Texas offense. So I think that the Jayhawks are back home playing UCF. So give me the Jayhawks to bounce back and cover that too.
Okay, I like it. We got Futch back. Okay,
all right.
Back online. Futch, what is your NFL bet? And then let's get your college bet.
Okay, sorry, my NFL bet. I'm gonna go with a Thursday night game. So you got Bears Commanders. Commanders are playing good football right now. They are 500, but I think they're a better team than that. Late game there with the Eagles. They had a chance to win on the road. So I'm gonna go with the Commanders to cover the 7 against the Bears. They are playing at home, and I just think that the Commanders are a decent football team that could make the wild card this year in the NFC.
I'm assuming it's Commanders -7, right? I mean, there's no way the Bears are.
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Yet the Broncos are favored in a game this week yet again. So sometimes
and the Jets. I think the Jets could win that game outright, though. I think the Jets could take some momentum. I get that.
I might put some money on that in Wolf spreads. You never know. That's an interesting pick to take there.
I'll get in on the Wolf spreads with y'all this week. Now that I have.
We'll have all four of us. We'll even hey listeners, if you want to be on it, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter. We'll send you the link. I'll post the link on Twitter when we put out our picks, so y'all can bet with us. Fletch, what's your college bet for this week?
College bet of the week, man. This is a tough one. I'm gonna take a really spicy one. I'm gonna take Texas A&M to beat Bama on the at home in
Yep.
A&M in College Station. I think that A&M is a good football team right now. They're kind of riding the wave right now, so
Max
I
Johnson,
expect
baby.
A&M to come in. Yeah, it's going to be a different. It's going to have that feel kind of like when they won last time in A&M. I just think that
Yep.
they have home field advantage for them is huge, and I don't know if Alabama is road tested enough, to win this football game. I think that there is opportunity for A&M to gain some ground in the West with a win. So I think definitely based off of last weekend. So yeah, I think A&M can win that game considering Bama's only a 2.5. So yeah, for a ranked and non-ranked matchup for Bama to only be at 2.5, that's kind of an eyebrow raiser.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. A&M still isn't ranked, but the West is wide open for them. Wade, who's your pick for the college best building that bankroll?
I'm also going to go after a big team here. I'm going to go with Maryland to cover the 19.5 against Ohio State. Maryland, I mean, hey, they're still kind of a dark horse team too. I think they're not ranked as well, also undefeated. So not undefeated, one loss.
Undefeated, 5-0.
They're undefeated.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
they are undefeated. And
Tolua's
yeah, they have a Tungavaloa at quarterback, and they're undefeated, and they're
it's
given
like
20
eighth year
points.
at quarterback.
Yeah,
I
I know,
like
he's
it.
been there forever.
I forgot
No,
he started at Alabama.
Yeah, he was Tua's like
I bet they
backup to
wish
the
that he
backup.
was still at Alabama.
So yeah, I think they cover it. They don't win it. They might not even keep it within 2 touchdowns, but 19.5's a lot. Ohio State, they're good. I think they're legit. I think we'll see how legit when they play Penn State and Michigan, but I think that the offense still has some question marks to me. I know Notre Dame's defense is really, really good. We saw another defensive game with them this weekend, but I just wasn't overly impressed with the offense I saw out of Ohio State when I finally got to see them play a real team in Notre Dame.
No, I agree with you. I think 19.5 is a lot to give a guy who's been there for
For
like
an
12
undefeated
years playing
team.
quarterback. Exactly. So for me, I'm going same situation. Undefeated, playing undefeated. One undefeated has not looked good the last 2 weeks, and that's Georgia. Kentucky is a 14.5-point dog against Georgia. I think it might be in Athens. I don't exactly know where it is, but
It is in
Kentucky's
Athens.
Kentucky just steamrolled
Such
Florida.
BS. That is such BS that it's back
here
in
we go.
Athens. That is such bullshit. So over it. I really am. Like it's every freaking weekend. They're always wearing red, guys, because they're always playing at home. Like, oh my god, it's just it's awful. Does Kirby Smart have to take his dog out to piss like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something? Like, I don't understand why they have to play at Georgia every freaking week. It doesn't make any sense.
What if you could like trade a home matchup for like the next year? Like if you knew your team was like out of it, what if Vanderbilt could just like punt the whole season and say we'll play all of our games on the road?
I like
Kentucky could
that.
be
They
like,
play at home, and none of their
They're gonna
fans
get
support them
steamrolled.
anyways.
but Kentucky
No.
could say like this game means so much to us that if we can play this game in Lexington, we'll give you the next 3 games in this series on the road.
If this was in Lexington, I'd take Kentucky money line straight up, but I think they cover the 14.5-point spread. They've looked really good. Georgia has been struggling as of late. So go Kentucky plus 14.5. So we'll have our bets in over on Wolf Spreads. It's really easy to sign up, really easy to use. You get $2,000 of free money to play with. Make your bets for NFL and college. And I mean, you can have competitions for baseball, basketball, not basketball right now, but they got all the sports on there. So we'll be using that throughout the season and hope to see our listeners joining us. That's our bets for the week. Let's get to who got that dog in, because I got a good one. dog in them. As you can see from the graphic, we have our Halloween themed dog because it is October. And we have Wade's dog Walter over there on the other side. Who got that dog in them? Let's start drum roll with Wade. Who you got for this week?
All right, this one's pretty vanilla. I'm going with Vanilla Thunder himself, Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, come on,
4
man.
total touchdowns. Hey, he's on my
He's on my fantasy team too.
Well, he can share dog of the week honors because when you
Sure.
score 4 touchdowns, I mean, it's pretty obvious you're the dog of the week. We don't see workhorse running backs anymore. I think Jim Harbaugh, or not Jim Harbaugh, he's not his coach anymore. Kyle Shanahan is a dog of the year because he had everybody freaking out saying that he was going to split this backfield, and I don't think anybody else has gotten a handoff on the 49ers. So, yeah, McCaffrey's just ultimately the best running back in the league and even helped his teammates out on a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So that's my guy.
When was Jim Harbaugh Christian McCaffrey's coach?
At Stanford.
Yeah.
He was coaching at Stanford?
Or John Harbaugh.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, wait, hold on. I was a little confused there. I mean, I don't know all the
And Jim
Stanford
Harbaugh was the
history.
coach of the 49ers.
Hey, you know that clip that is true. The clip that is going around of the kids playing the mascots. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, like where they get stiff-armed by the Colts mascot.
Christian McCaffrey is one of those kids.
Oh,
This
really?
was taken like 25 years ago. And it's McCaffrey jukes out a mascot. And the guy commentating goes, oh, it was like a look back. And he's like, he knew he was that guy. He knew he was him because he
Oh
jukes
my
out like the
God.
Jaguars mascot. And I'll send it
Just
to y'all.
scout for
Takes
one-
off running.
That dude in a freaking costume who ate 6 hot dogs during halftime. Freaking
It was pretty funny. But yeah, I didn't realize the little throwback. Christian McCaffrey's in the video where they're playing the mascot. So Tyler, who's your pick for who got that dog in him?
Well, I'm gonna go with CMC. He carried my fantasy
He's a
team.
double
the reason
dog.
Why I'm not 1-3. So CMC,
He's a double dog.
double dog.
the double
Yeah,
dog
yes.
there.
Guess we lost Chet. So Jacob, who's
Nope,
your dog?
I'm back.
Okay.
Jacob, who you got?
My dog of the week. Let's go to the Lynx in
Lynx.
Italy, in
Okay.
Italia. I'm gonna take Patty Ice. Patrick Cantley.
Yes.
For me is the guy. Yeah, Mr. Yeah, I gotta take my hat off for this one. No, I absolutely think that guy carried like Team USA through day
And his
3
caddy.
and the last part of. Yeah, I mean the last part of day 2. I just think that day and day 3 were huge, and that completely turned it around. And good for Joe LaCava. Like, I'm so tired. Like, we're probably going to talk about it, but like, I just think that guy's a legendary caddy, and he just added to his legacy with that. Like, I just think everybody in the United States should have some sort of hatred towards Rory McIlroy. Like, I despise Rory McIlroy. I really do. I can't stand him. It's just one of those
if
where
you
it's
missed
like,
it, well, so we touched on it at the beginning a little bit, but if you missed it, I know Wade, you were sleeping during this time, which this was at like
I saw
11
one
o'clock in
clip
the
from the
morning,
weekend
so-
when Shane Lowry was yelling at the usher for yelling
Yes.
at fans. I thought that
Yes,
was
the
cool.
usher told him to be quiet.
And
to
he
the
said, "You're the
fans, and
loudest
Shane
one
Riley-
here."
Yeah, there was a little bit of F-bomb dropped in there, but we'll keep it friendly for this show. So basically, to sum up what Jacob's saying is Patrick Cantlay hits that huge putt. Everybody's like, hats off. Woo, hats off to Cantlay. And his caddy, Joe LaCava, goes to the middle of the green, like kind of in front of Rory, takes his hat off.
it
and he's
wasn't
still
in
cheering
front
it on.
I'm so over.
It wasn't in front of it.
He walked right.
wasn't in
He
front of
walked right in Rory's sight line. Well, is Rory's sight line 20 feet away from his ball? Because like I don't understand. He takes this big long way all the way around. Let me take this big long way like I'm walking around a freaking mountain to get to my golf ball, and it just didn't make any sense. He walked out of his way to go to Joe LaCava and say something. Like if everybody thinks that Joe LaCava walked in his way to say something, he didn't want any confrontation with Rory McIlroy at that point. And Shane Lowry can go sit on his ass and eat another freaking Big Mac because I'm so over him and his freaking antics. And it's like, oh, he's holding back Rory that night when he's all pissed at Joe LaCava. Oh, let me hold him back real quick and let me be the peacemaker here after I go and cuss out everybody on 18 green. Like, I just don't understand. Like, there's such a double standard with Team Europe, and it's so
I'm
bad
with you.
to just
I'm with
sit there and watch it because I physically.
Well, he physically disconnected from the Wi-Fi.
The internet couldn't hold that rant.
So
Yeah, I keep having issues. I don't know what's going on.
the Team Europe is hacking your Wi-Fi. But basically,
I guess so.
yeah, they're yelling at each other. Rory and Joe LaCava. Shane Lowry's in the middle of it, like, "Whoa, calm down, guys." He's yelling at Joe LaCava. Did nothing wrong, but I loved it because it fired up Team USA going into Sunday. And then they go into the parking lot, and Rory runs into Joe LaCava, and they start yelling and fighting again. And Rory's wife has to pull him into the car, basically, and say, "Get in the car, we're going home." And then the report comes out Sunday morning that they talked, everybody's happy. So the announcer, after Rory wins his match, goes, "So Rory, I understand you and Joe are now good." He goes, "No, I haven't talked to Joe. I haven't talked to Joe. Next question." It goes on, and I was like, "Oh, so we got a little bit of spice going on." But yeah, Patrick Cantlay, Joe LaCava, I like that pick, Jacob. Mine is Max Homa, like I mentioned earlier. Balls of stone. I mean, the man just hits the most clutch. He has to take an unplayable, hits a flop shot, holds the putt to continue the Ryder Cup. He played great all week. It'd be nice if he played great in majors when we actually bet on him. But Max Homa with my pick for dog of the week. We got some in the comments. Matt Jones, out of respect, he's not picking an Ole Miss player. Thank you.
The whole
But
team.
he's going with Timmy McClain, an incredible fourth down conversion to keep UCF alive against Baylor. Unfortunately, fell short of the win. And then Mr. Chu in the comments who watched the game with Wade this weekend. Ryan Blaney coming in clutch with another photo finish and clutching a spot in the next round. So we got some NASCAR talk going on in the comments. So let us know your pick for dog of the week. And let's get we've already been doing this show for a little while. Let's finally get to some college football talk. As you can see, Caleb Williams held off Colorado's upset bid. He's got his sword with him in the logo. If you're watching over on YouTube, it was like 36-7 at halftime, and then Colorado came out of nowhere in the fourth quarter to make it close. But USC was able to hold them off, so they continued their undefeated record. I mentioned this. Georgia barely survives against Auburn. That was, not a great look for the number one team, or as I should say, the Brock Bowers team, because if he was not on that team, there would be no Georgia Bulldogs sitting in the number one position. So, Tyler, do you think we had a comment saying Missouri's going to win the East? Do you think that's an option? Is Georgia faltering that much?
It could definitely happen, especially if Kentucky pulls off the upset. If Missouri just keeps on winning, they got to take care of business this weekend against the LSU team. That's in much need of a win. But yeah, I think that, the way that Georgia's been looking, we talked about it on yesterday's SEC Talk, that Georgia, if you look at it, in the South Carolina game, they were down 14-3 at the half and 7-7 tied in the second quarter against UAB. And then you shift over to Saturday's game against Auburn, it's 10-0. I mean, if they just keep starting on, it's going to come back to bite them. I mean, against an offense that they haven't really faced an offense that hasn't really been good, honestly. So I think they're really going to get their first test in Athens. Like Jacob mentioned, they don't really have a true road test until October when they head over to Neyland Stadium. I think that Tennessee is going to be pissed off when they come on. And because if you flashback to last year's game, Tennessee, this was the first week that they were ranked number one, and Georgia kicked the absolute crap out of them. So I think the way that offense has been playing, that Florida game woke them up. I think that Florida, the way that they've been playing, they're out the mix. Vandy, we know what they are. So, yeah, I think that the SEC East, I don't think it's as easy as, Georgia winning the SEC East. I think that Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee still have something to say.
I like it. And sticking with the SEC, Tyler, the floor is yours.
Oh, God.
Well, I give you your time for your rant on LSU. I know you got the majority of it out. But
it's a rant preview.
Okay. Rant preview for Bayou Bengal Bites. what has to change for LSU to get to do something? I mean, that obviously the college football playoffs out of the picture and
Yeah.
save the season.
No, I think
What
it's
has to
just
change?
downright. I think it's just downright sad that this LSU team, they have one of the best offenses in the country. If you look, Jane Daniels is right up there with some of the best quarterbacks. Michael Penix, he's number one. Jane Daniels is number two. People, if
It's a close
LSU,
second.
was one loss or undefeated team, he would be there right in the Heisman discussion. But I don't think he is. Outside of Lamar Jackson winning it in 2016 when they were 9-3, it's probably not going to happen because LSU is probably going to have 4 or 5 losses by the time that this season is ending. The way that the schedule is setting up, you have Missouri on the road, you have an Auburn team that's getting better and better with Hugh Freeze, and then you have at Alabama, and it gets harder than that. So I just think that the way that this defense is playing is so much reminiscent of the 2020 team when Bo Pelini was the defensive coordinator. So I think it's as worse as – what are y'all laughing about? It's a comment? Just pull up the comment.
Comment we got from Lyndon or Tyler. I'm sorry to cut you off.
NASCAR's getting spicy today.
Right, yeah.
Find the clutch. All right, yeah. So your LSU. I mean, you mentioned Bo Pelini. I would take Bo Pelini over Matt House right now, if I'm being honest, because at least their defense stopped a couple of people at some point. The
only thing stopping people in that season was COVID. LSU's defense wasn't stopping anything.
They're not stopping a soul this season.
People were dropping sick in the middle of a game, and that was stopping them.
Yeah, well, you're paying Matt House.
Here's a thought.
What is it? Let's hear it, Jake.
Inject COVID into all to the Missouri players.
Here's a thought. Why doesn't LSU actually slow down the offense a little bit so their defense can get to their breath on the sideline? Because they're exhausted, and that's why they can't.
They should have their cardio up at this point.
They can't. At least they lost 20 pounds per
That's
down.
True. That's true.
I don't. They need to slow the offense down a little bit and let the defense have a break for half a second.
I wasn't done.
We cut Tyler off. Sorry, Tyler, continue.
I'm just going to say the same thing I said on Bayou Bingo Bites. I think that Brian Kelly is throwing his players under the bus too much. I think that all these excuses about, we're inexperienced. If you look, you got transfer portal guys who've had experience, but if you look, you got guys from Marshall, Syracuse, and Southeastern. This is not the FCS. This is not the ACC. This is the SEC. You're getting guys. I think that you are getting passed up. Just look at Florida State's team. Keon Coleman, he was, supposed to be this big get that LSU is going to get. But guess who got him? Florida State, because they have boosters who are throwing the bag at you. LSU doesn't have that priority of just throwing money at NIL players and people in the transfer portal. So I just think that they're just too much of throwing players on the bus. And I think the biggest mistake that Brian Kelly did was letting Corey Raymond walk. That was the big mistake ever. Corey Raymond built DBU up and built, the Tyrann Matthews of the world, the Trey Whites of the world. That's over. They're not going to get that many players because you got to stay right here in the state of Louisiana. There is a lot of talent. But nope, we just want to go on a plane and go to Utah to go find a defensive lineman who can't do anything. Mason Smith, he's pretty much non-existent. So if you want more of my talk, head on over to Bayou Bingo Bites. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Hit that subscribe button and find us over there. Futch tried to warn us with Brian Kelly, and now I'm seeing that it's true. The man's got maybe second to Texas, and honestly, it goes back and forth. The best recruiting in the country between Texas and Louisiana. You got the top players in the entire country, in my opinion, in those two states. And you let them go elsewhere, and you're going to find transfer transfer portal players. You're going to find somebody from Utah who I don't even remember who it was. Who was it, Tyler?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. He's not on the field.
I would just said a state.
It's I blew up Saturday. It was a mess, but you got to realize these college kids, they can't control your happiness. But I want to hear from Wade. He was boots on the ground. What was the experience like in Oxford? Minus the losing the game, but just as a general sports fan, how was that?
Yeah, I think drawing inspiration from Krish's story last week, I'll keep it about the experience. It was a great time with Matt and Mallory and Liz, our college buddies, up in Oxford. We got to do a little tailgating. We got a little VIP experience because of Matthew and Mallory's family having Mr. Tony, a former Ole Miss player, rather. And actually, I got a little pregame interview and score prediction with Tony that I'll be putting together for our TikTok. And yeah, I think that it was a great time. The Grove was all it's hyped up to be. I like the concept of tailgating without tailgates, I guess, if that's a thing, where people bring all their stuff into one central area, and it's not a parking lot and it's not the back of somebody's car. I thought that was pretty cool. And stadium wise, at first I was like, hey, this place is kind of tiny, but gosh, in that fourth quarter, I think it was just as loud as anywhere. I think going back to 2019 Tiger Stadium, maybe not that loud, but it was louder than I've heard Tiger Stadium the last 2 years. So granted, I wasn't there for the Alabama game, but it was very loud, and the Ole Miss fans were letting the refs hear it. They were throwing stuff on the field. There was a lot of electricity into it. I think I finally have bought into the LED lights. I don't know if you guys like those, but
program.
Those are pretty cool. And you know what?
Tiger
20-year-olds like it.
Upgrades.
Students like it. I think it's time to get Tiger Stadium going purple and gold in the fourth quarter, because I think that maybe it didn't really do anything, but I thought it kind of provided a spark to the stadium as Ole Miss kind of took the lead back there.
I mean, it's a full-on recruiting pitch. Like, what recruit do you have at the game that wouldn't want to be in that type of atmosphere? Fourth quarter, lights go out, you got red, you got music playing. Like, for example, at LSU 2 weeks ago against Arkansas, they had Boozy playing and the players were rapping on the sidelines. Well, all the older fans were pissed. They were like, oh, we don't want to hear that hood rap out here at Tiger Stadium. You got to play the band, blah, blah, blah. Man, shut up.
We're in Oxford, Mississippi. Anyway. I mean, like, come on. Yeah. You had no idea you were there.
I mean, it's like, you got to stop. LSU's got to stop going. We're on like a whole nother rant now. But they got to stop catering to the older fans. Ain't no one give a crap about them. Like I said, they're going to die in 30 years.
Okay, well, by the third quarter, the sidelines are emptied out. So, I mean,
you can't ask for more NIL money in the
section for fans who are actually going to be loud and stay and not leave at the second half when it's like a 30-point game just because you want to beat the stinking traffic.
Hey,
Jacob left.
Chill out. No, actually, I didn't. I freaking should have left, and I didn't. And I got pissed off at somebody in the parking lot. We almost had a full-out brawl in the parking lot at 12.
I get it for playing like an FCS school and you want to leave, but if it's an SEC team where it's like a 3-point game, your butt better be in the stands for 4 quarters.
Yeah, that's an issue too.
Okay, all right. Well,
what's surprising?
This is the problem with LSU. We are so soft as a fan base sometimes.
Yeah, we're going on. All right,
LSU is soft. Thank you. We
finally
hit the root
of the issue.
LSU
of these fans are soft.
LSU is soft. Okay, they hired a soft head coach. Their boosters are soft. Their freaking program is soft. They're all freaking soft. Why don't they just lay everybody down on a pillow and a blanket after every freaking play when they blow the whistle? They might as well just play freaking Frank Sinatra for just practice. Just put it in the freaking practice facility and say, well, guys, let's just get out here and freaking do the do-si-do for practice. Like, I don't understand. It's so
tackling.
Like, I don't understand it.
They're not practicing.
They need a partner and do some tackling drills.
Look,
like, do they need to wear something like on their chest that said "needs a hug"? Need a hug, or like what is
build
that?
A bear?
Like, I'm so confused.
Build a bear. We need to build a defense.
Like, the biggest hit I've seen all year was that freaking Ole Miss player absolutely freaking decking Daniels. And I don't understand that.
All right, Wade, you were saying something. What you got?
I think going back to the whole Brian Kelly not being too hard on the players, I mean, I'd say let him hear it more. If you want to get paid and you want this to be professional, if I mess up at work, I'm going to get yelled at. So you know what? There is no protection. This is the NFL now. And in the NFL, you see players get ridiculed in press conferences. Was the Zach Wilson stuff too far? Yeah. But you don't see that in college football. You don't see Herb Street sit there on game day and say, well, geez, Drake May down there in the corner is really playing bad. Like, no, they protect the players, but you know what? Not anymore. This is a professional thing. I say come at players, and if you're not getting the job done, get out.
No, I
And
agree with you.
you
And
just
I
got to hold
think
them more accountable.
I want to see the old Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly at Notre Dame was a little fiery. I want to see some like Nick Saban-esque behavior. I want the face fully red. I want him screaming at players because that's all. That's what you got to get at LSU to wake them up. Okay, they're sleepwalking through the games and they look awful. So go subscribe and watch Bayou Bengal Bites. Tyler and I went into full detail. I won't take up too much time ranting about LSU. And now we're talking about the stadium and how the stadium sucks and they need more
Well,
atmosphere.
I mean, I don't
But-
think the stadium sucks. I just think that
No,
pound
no,
for
no,
pound, it was a very cool experience at this stadium,
It
and they
just
did
hurts
some
me.
things right for only having 68,000 seats. You know,
gotta-
it was a really good environment. You
Tell me
know,
the last
You gotta-
time that the upper decks were full. Tell me.
last year against Alabama.
Yeah, it's the only.
I mean-
That's the only game that it's remotely close to everybody staying.
You got to get a better atmosphere, in my opinion. You got to get with the times, okay?
Yeah,
People got the LED
everyone wants
lights.
to stay home and watch it on TV nowadays. That's just how it is.
And I understand.
Technology's
I
taking over.
understand the tradition aspect, right? I mean, you can play into that, but putting up LED lights and making it dark and flashing lights and freaking fireworks when they score a touchdown, it's not killing tradition. And if you don't like it, watch it at home. All right, it ain't that hard. We don't want you there anyway. Jacob, tell us about your Nittany Lions.
fellas-
They're undefeated.
Okay, well, if you fellas want to see an atmosphere, then come to State College. Like I don't know. It,
They put 100,000 in
they-
the seats, no problem.
Yeah.
Those people 109,000 every Saturday. That place is filled whether we're playing Delaware or Ohio State. So
That's true.
yeah, no, they're playing good football right now. First half against Northwestern this last week was kind of a fluke. I mean, okay, Northwestern scored a touchdown because they returned the opening kickoff of the game. Congratulations. Do you want a cookie? Like, I don't understand.
Way to
Like,
start
they
it.
just did it for the Big Ten headquarters that's right across the street that they decided to suck off every week. I'm happy. I'm happy with how they turned.
Definitely gonna have to
Happy
mark
with how they
this
turned around this
episode.
Big
Yeah, this was not safe for kids. The Big Ten
Oh,
headquarters. All right.
They
well,
turned around
it
the second half and scored 21. They scored 31. They scored 31 in the second half after being tied 10-10. So I think they're running the ball good. Drew Aller just has to get more comfortable throwing the ball deep. I mean, he has, I think, the strongest arm in college football, and it's crazy to see how quick he can get the ball out. I don't think he's not a running quarterback. He's never going to be able to run. But that's what they need. They need a pocket passer. I just think they play too conservative sometimes. Like, they play too conservative in the first half. Like, if they want to be a good football team and beat Ohio State, you can't, in Michigan, you can't get behind the sticks early in the first half. Like, if you're going to be behind in the first half, you're just going to be playing catch up the whole game. Oh, we lost by 3. Yeah, but you were down by freaking 17 at half. So I think that they just need to, like, literally lock in and just play 4 quarters of football. They only play 2, and it's like the most disappointing thing of all time. But they're still undefeated. I like.
What do they take on Ohio State?
It's going to be interesting. That's in a couple weeks, but like,
Okay.
Michigan's
Who do you
later
have
on the
the
season.
slate this week.
So this week is Maryland week. So, or not
That's
Maryland.
Ohio
week.
State.
No, that's Ohio State this week.
Come on, he calls himself a Penn State fan. Doesn't even know who they're
I
playing.
don't even know. I think we have a bye. We might have a bye week this week.
Okay, well,
No, I don't think so. Because our bye week is between UMass. We play freaking UMass this season, guys. And it's UMass and yeah, we do have a bye week this week.
oh, there
Yeah.
you go. Well, I have a question.
have to.
Tyler had to drop off. Tyler, we appreciate you being on. I've been watching Texas, right? And I was a little concerned versus Kansas. I was like, oh, Kansas has got to give them a run for their money with backup quarterback, but then they end up blowing them out of the water. I think Texas is the best team in college football right now. I think they should overtake Georgia at number 1.
Oh,
Clearly,
that
Jacob doesn't agree with me. Which thoughts?
I just can't. I don't know. I don't think Georgia's good enough to be number one right now, but I can't justify Texas being number one right now. Okay, yeah,
Right.
they beat Alabama, but I don't know. Like, I can't say anything until this week. Like, till this next week when they play Oklahoma. Like, that's going to be the biggest test so far. I think they're a better team right now than Alabama was when they played Texas. I think Oklahoma's not afraid to score the football, so like it's just they'll put points on the board in a
Well, I
hurry.
hope no team is afraid to score the football. If you get what I'm saying,
The
that's
same
Well,
a
yeah,
might be.
that's an
I just
interesting point.
yeah. So I think that Texas is close. I just don't think that they're gonna be a college football playoff team.
So who do you think they lose to? I mean, if they win the Big 12, I think they're a lock. Who do you think they lose to?
I just don't like. I don't know. Like it's just one of those things where if Georgia wins out, Georgia's gonna be number one. I just
Yeah.
there's there's even if Texas wins out, if they both win out, they're still not number one. Now, whoever's going to win the Big Ten is either going to be an undefeated team or a one-loss team. If it's an undefeated team, then they're going to be number two. Number three, if Florida State decides to turn it up and win out the entire season, then they would be number three. And number four is up in the air. Do you take a Texas team or who's potentially a one loss team, or do you take an Ohio State or a Penn State or a Michigan? Like, I don't know if the past
Tell you
plays
what.
too much into the college football playoff. Let's be real. The past plays
No,
way
I
too
agree
much
with you.
into it. Like past seasons, they don't take it for face value. And that's what it is. Like
I
I'd
think
love
the
to
history
include
of it.
Texas in the college football playoff. I have nothing against Texas not in being in the college football playoff. Like I just think that they won't like the committee doesn't take each season for face value, and it's just kind of all over the place with how they decide. Let's look back 2 years ago and see what like they're too focused on the past.
I'm looking at Texas' schedule right now. The only potential loss I'm seeing is Oklahoma, to be honest with you. They got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the
Well,
way.
then it comes,
Wade. Oh, go ahead, Jacob. Sorry. We lose him again.
but then it comes to no, but then it comes down to strength of schedule too, like
Yeah.
because if Alabama is outside of the top 15, potentially in the 20s by the end of the season, if they lose to
Yeah,
an
that
unranked
doesn't
A
look
and
like
M,
it.
they'll be in the 20s.
Yeah.
So then it doesn't look very good at the end of the season. And then where's the strength of schedule at?
No, I mean that's a valid point to be made. Wade, what do you think about the Longhorns? Are you horns up or horns down?
I mean, right now, I think they're definitely in my college football playoff, and I see them getting there by the end of the season as long as they get past this weekend against Oklahoma. I'd put Florida State at number one right now based off merit. I think they have the two top 25 wins. Yes, LSU is still in the top 25, and I think that was a very impressive win. I guess Clemson did fall out the top 25, but I think you can't hold that over their head. I think those are two quality wins. Texas probably has the best singular win right now over Alabama, but I don't think any of us are that high on Alabama. I think Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State all kind of fall in that same category where, like Jacob said, we're valuing them because of we know they're good programs. We know they're not going to embarrass us if we come onto this show and say, hey, I think Georgia's going to win the national championship. Hey, I think Ohio State or Michigan's going to win the national championship. I mean, those are very reasonable picks, but they haven't done anything this year to prove it to us. So, and they'll definitely get their chance, right? None of those teams are going to get to the playoff without multiple top 25 victories. It just hasn't come yet. So for Texas, for Georgia, they both have a chance this weekend to assert themselves. They're playing, a ranked game, and I think each one could make a big statement and maybe pole vault one another to the top spot.
I like the Florida State. I didn't even think about Florida State. I mean, they've been pretty solid. They had a little slip up there against Clemson but almost Boston College. But yeah, I mean that's another team that you got to look at the end of the season if they're undefeated and Texas is undefeated. I mean, there's your answers. They both make it. Let's get to some quick picks and upset picks. Here we go. There with the new graphic with the college upset alert picks. My upset pick this week, I'm going with Big Blue Kentucky taking down the number one team in the nation, Georgia. I mentioned it on my bets for the week, and so I'm gonna go with Kentucky taking down Georgia. Tyler, you back? Who you got for your upset pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has been treating me right this season, picking an upset. I think Wazoo goes down, heading on over to Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. I think that UCLA's offense, I think this is going to be a high-scoring shootout. So give me the Bruins at home to pull off the upset against Wazoo.
Yeah, I don't think
Oh,
it's much of
Jacob
an
doesn't
upset,
like
Tyler,
it.
though, because it's not an upset, though, because
What do you
UCLA's
mean?
the
UCLA's
favorite.
favorite.
They're
UCLA's
unranked and
the
they're
favorite
13.
by
Get off
3.5.
me.
3.5.
They may be the betting favorite, but by the rankings, it is an upset. So, Jacob,
Haven't
since
you?
you're on,
See, you've been away too much to forget what the
we have
rules
rules.
are of an upset pick.
We
Come
have
on.
structure here, Jacob. This is not like the
All
college.
right,
Sure.
I'm not going to
We have
violate the rules here. I'm not going to violate the rules. I'm taking the Terrapins to win outright over the
Oh.
Buckeyes
Whoa.
on the
Whoa.
road. So
Big
a
time pick
big
right there.
upset. The Ohio
That
State
would
is
change.
19.5 at home, and Maryland knows how to score the football. So they're finally going to play a team that knows how to score the football.
That's
so
true.
they are
Score the
5-0, and it's going to be interesting.
Score the football. That's the new saying. Wade, who's
Yep.
going to score the football this week and
All
take
right.
down the upset?
I'll piggyback off of Jacob's bet earlier, since he piggybacked off my bet, and I think that A&M upsets Alabama as a home team that is lower ranked or not ranked to number 11 Alabama.
Okay, I like it. I like it. So those are our upset picks. If they're all right, the college football landscape will change big time.
Yeah.
So let's do some real quick picks here. We've been on the show for a minute. Oklahoma, Texas. Tyler, who you got?
Gonna go with Hook'em. I think it's not even gonna be close. I think that Texas makes a statement.
All right, Futch. Horns up, horns down.
I'm going to take the Horns. I think that they win in a narrow victory.
Wade, are you going with the Red River or what you doing?
I'm going Texas.
All right, we are all Texas on this show because I'm picking them too. We had the Maryland Ohio State upset. Let's do Alabama A&M. Butch, what you got?
I'm taking the Aggies at home. I think they got it.
All right, going with the upset. Wade's going with the upset too. Tyler,
Got to take to A&M.
Tyler, you going Aggies or what you going with?
No, I'm not. I'm going with Alabama. I think that I think that a lot of people, this is the same thing with the Ole Miss and Alabama game and what happened. Alabama's defense stepped up. I think this is going to be more of a defensive battle. This will be close. Don't know what the spread is right now. It's got to be like Alabama, like 2.5, 4.5, something like that. But I do think that this Alabama team is starting to play better. Jalen Milroe is getting better as the weeks go on, and you're seeing that Nick Saban fire. So I think that Roll Tide gets the victory.
I'm going A&M. I like the upset here.
I like this. Y'all have fun picking A&M.
Notre Dame, Louisville. We got undefeated Louisville hosting Notre Dame, the Fight Irish. Futch, quick pick. Who is it?
So Louisville gives a little different look on offense. I think they can give Notre Dame some trouble offensively. Defensively, I think they give up too many points. So I'll take the Irish to win.
Okay, Wade, which you going with Sam Hartman and his rib necklace or going with the Cardinals?
You know what? Notre Dame got away with one this past weekend. It doesn't happen again. I'm going Louisville.
Okay, we got a split. Tyler, what you think?
I tell you what, I was so heartbroken. I think that Duke should have won that game. They just had to make one stop, and they let Sam Hartman run wild. It was just so heartbreaking, and add that on to Ryan Leonard. Hopefully he's okay. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I just think that they're the better football team in this one. Louisville always does this. They go 5-0, and then a team destroys them. I just think that Notre Dame is just a better defensive team. I think that Louisville's offense will keep them in the game until the fourth quarter, but I think that the Irish get back-to-back road wins over an ACC opponent.
I agree with you. I think this is Louisville goes 5-1 after this. This is the week they get blown out. I was going to ask Arizona USC. I don't even think that's a question. We don't have many. I mean, of course, we got LSU, Missouri, but we're not gonna put everybody through that again. Not a whole Virginia Tech, Florida State. That's a snoozer. Not a whole lot of ranked matchups this week. Arkansas, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 11. Wait, did you see enough from the Rebels to pick them by 11 points against Arkansas?
They'll win, but I don't like it by 11. Their defense isn't good enough for me to trust them in a double-digit spread.
All right, Tyler, what you think?
Yeah, I think that Arkansas can definitely cover that 11. This is a team that really, really needs a win because this is a gauntlet schedule that they're going through, back-to-back losses to LSU and also to Texas A&M. Ole Miss, there's going to be a lot of hype, but there's always a letdown spot. This game is always crazy with all of the momentum. I think it's close, but in the end, I'll go with the home team with Ole Miss. Their offense has been rolling.
Jacob, what you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rebels too. I think Ole Miss is right now, I think pound for pound, one of the best teams in the SEC right now offensively. Defensively, I think they need holes. They have holes. They need to fill those holes. I just think that it's Arkansas. I mean, if Arkansas can keep up in Death Valley, then I think that they can keep up on the road at Ole Miss. Offensively, I don't know. It'll be really close. I think that I agree with you guys. I think that Arkansas can cover 11 on the road.
Woo pig suey, baby. Give me Arkansas to take the win. All right.
That seems like a spite pick.
Yes, it is. I'm never picking Ole Miss for anything.
You were right.
That wraps up our college football talk. Wade, I think you have a NASCAR Neil update. We'll give it to you real quick before we throw the show.
Start your
We gave NASCAR Neil a little graphic.
Yeah, I love it, Tyler. That was a beautiful intro there that you made. So, Wade, take us away. Start your engines, baby.
Yeah, we had some commentary in the chat about Ryan Blaney and his effort at Talladega. The photo finish win, as Matt called it, it was a victory by 0.007 seconds. So that's 10 to the negative third times 7.
For all you engineers out there.
Making sure I don't miss a place value there. Yeah. So yeah, I got double NASCAR input because, of course, I talk to NASCAR Neil every week and I hear the segment here as we prepare it. And then I was in the car with Matt for a long time too. So I got his take on NASCAR, and we talked a little bit about this race. It was at Talladega, and both Neil and Matt brought up the fact that there was a lot more team action at Talladega because of the wider track. There's going to be room for more moves. You're not going to see guys racing single file, which I think is more exciting to see guys go for big passes, try to cut some corners, and cause some chaos. And that's what happened. As two big name guys, Denny Hamlin, he had a speeding penalty, and Harvick, he was actually disqualified for a.
Wait, did you say speeding penalty?
Yeah, apparently you can go too fast.
What?
I think it's coming out of a caution.
In the pits. It's coming out of the pits.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go when the flags are not full green. So
okay. I got you.
There are speeding restrictions. So a speeding restriction for Hamlin, and then Harvick, the other H driver, he got disqualified. I believe it was, as Neil said, something with his windshield. So I feel like I'm explaining fantasy football like as a girl or something here. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
we gotta have the record. We're pushing NASCAR Neil to record this segment and send it to us. So push them, audience. Tell them to record it.
But also, Matt said this is so funny because it's funny hearing us butcher our way through it. But I tried to take what Neil sent me and I tried to, put it into my own terms because I do want to understand it. But geez, yeah, I got a lot torn. Anyways, Hamlin did recover from his speeding penalty to finish 4th. And then Brad Keselowski, that is Matt and Neil's favorite driver, or one of their favorite drivers. He got in a wreck. He got a little too aggressive. He was pushing another driver, Hoshaver, and they got tangled up and got in a wreck, so that knocked out Brad Kay. Ryan Blaney ultimately was the champ, like we talked about, 0.007 seconds, a photo finish, enough for a dog of the week performance. So yeah.
Well, Wade, I think you did great explaining the NASCAR to us. I'm really interested about this speeding penalty. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, we got to watch the
I thought
footage.
Or
I
you could
thought
just load up NASCAR Heat on the Xbox and learn from there.
There you
There you go. Now we're talking, Tyler. So that wraps up the Sports Scramble. It was a long one, so we appreciate everybody watching with us. Hit that subscribe button, like. We'll be back every week. We'll be back next week. Well, I don't know if Jacob will be here. It's the same as
Saying he will.
to get to a Tootsie Roll or whatever that thing is.
What?
How many licks does it take to get to the middle of a Tootsie Pop? Is the same question as asking, will Jacob be on the show or not?
There we go.
Know.
There we go.
That's
Guys,
what
it
I
took
was
another
trying to
10
say.
seconds for the show just so that Check could get it out.
Yeah, so everybody, we appreciate you joining. I hope God blesses all of you, especially my 3 co-hosts, and you all have a wonderful week.